good morning and welcome back to Cityline. With me here is someone who I see all of the time on LinkedIn. I see her on Instagram. She is out there doing good deeds for our community. You will recognize her. Please join me in welcoming Krystal Monteros. You are the coordinator for the Ms. Wheelchair Washington program. How many years have you been the coordinator?
I've been coordinator for 4 years. This is my fourth year, right?
Your fourth year, but you were Ms. Wheelchair Washington in 2010, weren't you?
Yes.
Yes, look at that smile on your face. It doesn't surprise me. Welcome back to Cityline, my dear. So first off, for people who perhaps are not aware of the Ms. Wheelchair Washington program, if we were to ask you, what's it all about, what would you say?
So a lot of times people think that it's like a beauty pageant, something like that, but it's really based on advocacy.
Yes.
It's based on wanting to make change.
And not that you're not beautiful, because you are. If it were just about that, you'd have it hands down. But it's more than that.
Right.
It's about making change.
Yeah.
So we've already identified how it differs from other beauty pageants that might go on in the United States. Who is eligible to compete for the title of Ms. Wheelchair Washington?
So you have to be a woman, obviously.
Yes.
Woman over the age of 21 and using a wheelchair, we say in public 100% of the time.
Okay.
So you don't necessarily have to be like, because I'm paralyzed from my knees down.
Okay.
You don't necessarily have to be always in a wheelchair, but as long as you're in a wheelchair in public, 100% of the time.
And here we're showing some shots of you and this amazing advocacy work that you did and you still do and you are known for. So how did being a title holder impact your personal journey or the advocacy work that comes so natural to you?
Say it again. What?
Or how did it affect the advocacy work that comes so natural to you?
So when I first started, or when I first ran for Miss Wheelchair Washington,
Yes.
to be honest, I was depressed still.
Okay.
I was depressed. I didn't believe in myself and everything, but I got my voice and I realized that I can actually make change.
Yes.
And a lot of times people don't realize that it's called storytelling, being real. Through storytelling, you can tell people your stories, the things that you've been through and all that, and you can get people to realize like, oh, this really does need to change. It's not all fine just because the ADA is in play.
Right, right.
And I started to do that. And during my year, the main thing I fought for was hotels.
Ooh.
Accessible hotels.
Okay.
So with me wanting to travel and everything, I would go to like the managers of the hotels and basically be like, okay, well, this room needs to change. This
Right.
one isn't, just because it's an ADA room doesn't mean that everything is in compliance.
Well, no, just because we've got ADA rails around the toilet, if there's no elevator and there's only stairs, what does it matter?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So when you think about, because you just mentioned it's storytelling, when you think about your time as Ms. Wheelchair Washington, what sticks with you today?
So one of my main things during my year as Miss Wheelchair Washington, I did a speaking engagement with the Center for Independence over in Lakewood.
Okay.
And again, storytelling.
Yeah.
I was talking to a bunch of teenagers at what they called their tea party and everything. And I was talking to them about how I was depressed when I was a teenager. I was depressed, I was bulimic and all that stuff. And then I told them like, but look, now I'm Miss Wheelchair Washington. And I was talking to a bunch of teenagers with disabilities.
Yes.
And just in a relaxed environment and everything. And being real now, and that was back in 2010.
Yes.
Now I'm actually on the board for the Center for Independence.
Oh, I love this.
Yeah.
You have come full circle. And these are such beautiful pictures that you have supplied us with. So what inspired you after your reign was done to step into that role of coordinator?
It took a while, but being real, I just wanted to see a difference. Like, so I've always wanted to make change within the disability community, but I wanted to see more diversity.
Okay.
And I've always been one to be like, yeah, I am for people with disabilities, but if you see all my advocacy work, I'm always one to advocate for people with disabilities that are minorities. Because like with me, I'm Hispanic.
Yes.
So like I wanted to see more of like for the minority community, for the low income community, for all that, but I wanted to reach more of that community.
Exactly.
And like if you see more of the way that I run the program now, as coordinator and stuff, like with the pageants now, I have like the DJ system and like more of like the party scene. And
Yes.
instead of being more like business like, it's more of like a celebration.
Oh, I love that.
And I feel like that reaches a new community.
It does. It's
Of wheelchair
contagious.
users. Yeah.
Yeah, if people are having fun, they're going to tell other people about it, and that is part of advocacy. So when you think about some of the responsibilities in organizing the competition and supporting the title holder throughout the year, what comes to mind?
So right now I'm looking for like fundraising to get to the current title holder, Jayla, to nationals. So every Miss Wilshire Washington title holder goes to Miss Wilshire America.
Right.
And that comes with just doing fundraisers in the community, and comes from our sponsors and our partners and everything. We are partners with the Here and Now organization.
Excellent.
And we do probably like three events with them per year.
Okay.
Everything. And we are constantly making new partners, and just doing different events. We have another event coming up probably in the next few weeks and stuff over by the waterfront and everything. Still need to do some advertising for that. But so look out on our Facebook page.
There we go, Facebook page. We've been showing that website below that beautiful smile the whole time, where all the information is gathered. This may seem like a very obvious question, but I want to ask it. Why is it important to elevate the voices of women with disabilities through a platform like this? Because what kind of impact are you hoping that these participants have on the community?
Well, in my opinion, a lot of times, so the average community just doesn't realize that there needs to be change. They realize that, or they think that just because the ADA has been in play, that we have everything that we need. That just one thing I was actually just talking about is like we have the sidewalks, we have the elevators, we have the housing and all that stuff, but really we don't.
No.
Like I mean, even right now, everybody with me, for an example, like everybody always tells me like, oh, why don't you move to a different spot? Because I don't want to go through the hassle of finding another accessible unit.
And you understand how difficult it is. So it's easy to say, but not easy to put into practice.
Right. Like, I mean, and that's one thing that I advocate for is more accessible units.
Exactly.
And that's another thing that I do is I'm on the urban design board for the city of Tacoma.
Oh, I love that.
To make sure that with all these new places that the city of Tacoma is building,
yes,
that they don't forget about people with disabilities.
Thank you, thank you. So in this last minute, who would you like to thank? Because nobody does all the beautiful work that you have just described alone.
Well, first off, I would like to thank Miss Wilshire America.
Yes.
And the whole organization of Miss Wilshire America, and yeah, so the president of Miss Wilshire America is Mary. Absolutely adore her. And just all the sponsors and everything, all the community members and everything that have ever, just given. And, everybody that supports the current title holder, all the family and friends and stuff and all our partners.
And I want to say thank you to you because, you pour into our community so much love, education, beauty, and understanding. And there are not enough thank yous in the world for that. So Krystal, thank you so much for what you do for our city and for everyone who needs education and an open door, who you advocate for. And I want you back on the couch, back in the studio sooner than later. Deal?
Most definitely. You got it.
I love that. National Night Out will be on the couch when we come back. You don't want to miss that. We'll be right back after this quick break.